Your girl has a net worth of over $350,000 at the age of 24. And that still blows my mind. My net worth grew over $100,000 in 1 year. And I'm going to tell you guys every last number as to how and why it has happened. Let's do it. Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Kayla. If you are new here, I am just a girl in her 20s that shares little clips and tricks and information, honestly, about my life in hopes that it can help somebody like you maybe. And if it does help you, then maybe you could subscribe and then maybe we can be best friends. Well, internet best friends, but like best friends still, right? Right. Anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be doing an overall net worth video. We are going to be getting into the nitty-gritty, number by number, account per account to really see what makes up this grand total of a $350,000 net worth at 24, which I can confidently say I am so proud of. But yeah, you guys, hopefully this can be really helpful. I definitely don't want it to come off as braggy because I also completely understand how much work goes into getting to even $5,000 in savings. Like, people don't understand it's really those smaller numbers that people try to like roll their eyes at that is really the hardest to obtain. And once you get to that point, honestly, accumulating wealth becomes a bit easier, right? But overall though, I'm really hopeful that this will be helpful for you. And if you have any questions or any takeaways, please leave them below. I love to talk finances. I love to talk just overall betterment and help, because once again, this is a community and I will always strive to be transparent and to be helpful in all the ways that I can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let me invite y'all into my business. Come on. So for starters, I do want to do a little bit of a disclaimer. I feel like one of those girls that you remember back in the day when they did Black Friday hauls and they would be like, disclaimer, I'm not bragging. And I would always be like, girl, duh. Well, here I am. I am not bragging. I really want this video to be helpful and I really want this video to be beneficial because I understand how hard it can be. I am somebody that did not come from wealthy parents. I am somebody that did not come from understanding all of the financials and finances and having the strongest education in it. I was not taught about it in high school. I wasn't taught about it in middle school. I wasn't taught about it even in really college, honestly. This is truly information that I have had to seek out and study and review and read about to really get to this point. So I really want to make sure that you guys understand that I'm coming from a humble place, and this is something that I have 100% built myself. Like, when you look at my net worth, none of this is coming from inheritance. None of this is coming from my parents being like, here's $10,000, start a small business, or here's $10,000, go ahead and flip it. Like, no, literally every penny has been me. And I'm very, very proud to say that, but it is also something that is very real for a lot of us, and for many different reasons. Sometimes our parents just didn't have the strongest financial education, and I definitely think that was a case for me where my parents just were not brought up on it. They had no idea about a Roth IRA or how to have the strongest 401k and just all these, important things that help you build wealth. They were not taught about. And so how could you teach your kids something you weren't taught about? And so I'm sure there's a lot of us in that predicament, and hopefully you will be the generational change where you get educated and you start investing and you start saving and you start building for the latter generations. And yeah, that's really important to me. I just want to make sure I say that this number is me, self-made. And I'm really proud of it. So let's go ahead and get into the actual numbers. So I don't know about you guys, but one way that I personally track my net worth, and this is not sponsored, I'm not being paid for this or anything like that, but I personally use Empower. I think it is really, really helpful because it keeps your accounts up to date in real life. So I literally link all of my investment accounts, all of my bank accounts, and I can just see the number go up and down. I can see it change over time. I think it's just a really phenomenal app, and so I just want to put it out there in case you are somebody that's like, how the hell do I even track this? You do not have to use a pen and paper. You don't have to, use one really big Excel sheet, although some people prefer that. I personally enjoy an app because I don't really think about it and I can just like check it whenever I want to and get real life up-to-date data on what my net worth is. So yeah, just want to put that out there for anybody that's wondering how they do it. This is how I track mine in a really easily and accessible way. The first thing we're going to start off with is assets, and assets are essentially something that can be liquidated in exchange for a resource. So something that you could sell right now, get money for it, and then exchange that for whatever you need, let's say food, shelter, water, something like that. But of course you need cash to get that resource, and you have to be able to liquidate to get cash. That is an asset, and assets can include a paid off car, they can include a really nice watch, they can include cash, all of those things. So let's go ahead and get into my assets. The first asset I'm going to talk about is going to be cash, and for me, I keep all of my cash really in a high yield savings account. I don't see why anybody would not. I will scream to the top of my lungs that a high yield savings account is a really good account. Why? Because the interest rate is a lot better than really any other account you will ever have. So when you are literally just keeping your money somewhere, you could be getting more money and interest on a high yield savings account, which is why I will always recommend it, because majority of people are saving money or they have their money, somewhere. I just recommend that you keep it in a high yield savings account so you can get more bang for your buck. For me, I keep my emergency fund in there. Currently, my emergency fund is at $14.5 thousand. Now, if you compare that to my previous video, it is a bit lower, and you might be wondering why. I think before I had like 40 or 50K, I'll have it somewhere on the screen, and currently I have 14.5K. The biggest reason for that is because I am building a house, and so with building a house, you have a lot of deposits and a lot of things that you have to make and do and pay for, and so a lot of my liquid funds are tied up in my home, or not tied up, I should say. That sounds like, I don't know, to me tied up sounds negative. I should say that I've moved a lot of the money from my high yield savings account into my home, which is also an asset. So I'll talk about how much money I have there in a second, but for starters, in my high yield savings account, I have $14.5 thousand, and that is really good for my emergency fund, whatever the case may be. In 2026, I definitely want to increase it a lot more, especially given the fact that I'm going to be a homeowner. So who knows what expenses might pop out of the blue that I won't be able to call my landlord and be like, hey, come fix this. I'll be the one that has to fix it. So I'm okay with that because I really am excited for my home, but it is something that I have to consider and something that I have to be prepared for. So yeah, I'm definitely going to work to increase that a lot more in 2026. I don't know by how much I'm going to increase it by, but it is something that is on my mind, especially as I plan for my finances in the new year. The next asset I want to talk about is my home. Woo! So I don't know if you guys have seen my videos. I have quite a bit out there about my home purchasing and building process, from me literally vlogging when I went to go look at the house for the first time. Well, the model home, because when you're building a home, obviously your home's not done. So I have a vlog on that. I have a detailed video on the latest on my house. I have a lot of things out. So if you're curious about that, please check it out. And I will definitely continue to put more content out there about it. So also, if you have any questions, please let me know. Nonetheless, though, in my home down payment account, you could call it, I have $32,000. So I have moved $32,000 from my high yield savings account to my home down payment. And overall, a lot of this money accounts for the land that my house is being built on, because I had to purchase the lot. It includes my design down payment, because when you are building a home, you have to design and pick out all this stuff, but they're like, okay, we want to make sure that you are actually serious and can afford it, so you also have to have a down payment for that. So it's a bunch of stuff, but overall it does help. It basically contributes to your overall home purchase. So on my closing date, I have a certain amount that I will need to put down, and it'll be minus this like $32,000 that I've already put towards my house, which is really cool and something that I don't mind. But yeah, so another asset that I have is my home, and I have $32,000 in that account, or asset, you could say. The next thing I want to talk about is my car, because I feel like people don't always look at cars as an asset, but they definitely are when you own them full out, because you could literally sell your car tomorrow if you need some cash. But you cannot do that if you have a lease. You cannot do that if you still owe money on it. Why? Because the bank or your whatever car place technically owns it, right? Right. So I own my car full outright, which is really exciting, but I also drive an old car. People don't know that. And I drive an oldie. She is a 2013 Hyundai Sonata, and I love her down. Her name is Tiana, and she has helped me tremendously get from point A to point B. She's also a really cute car, so I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure for me to get a new car. It's definitely something I want in 2026. Like, let me put it out there. I do want a new car. It is something I'm working towards. But in the meantime, the fact that I've had my car, it's been my first car I've ever had, and I've obviously had it since I've been 16, and it's been a really good car. Like, I love the fact that I don't have a car payment. I love the fact that my insurance is lower, and this is one of the things that I think people don't always talk about that really can grow your wealth, because the reality is I'm not having to pay a car note every month. So what do I do with that money? I can save that money, I can invest that money, I can spend that money if I wanted to. I could do a lot of things with that money, but what I've done is really saved and invested it. So that's really one of the perks that comes from having a paid off car, or even an older car, which, you know, I love a new car. Let me be clear. And I love all the new car owners out there, because those are really nice cars. I'm just saying that a different perspective is getting an older car will allow you to put a little bit more money towards building wealth, because at the end of the day, a car is a depreciating asset. The moment you drive it off that lot, it is going down. Okay, it's not something that goes up. It's not something that in 5 years you're gonna be like, oh my god, look at the return on that. It is not something like that. So it is really important that you think about your overall wealth planning when you think about car purchasing. So yeah, for me, my car is older, as I've already said, and I would say it's about like $6,000. Like, if I really had to sell it, I feel like I could get $6,000. And I think I've searched this up a few months ago. It could be a different number, but we'll just say $6,000 to be on the conservative side. It's probably like a little bit more, but once again, I'm not selling this car. I will always have this car even when I get a new car. This car is paid off. Okay, I love that fact. So yeah. Now let's get into my other asset, which is going to be jewelry. I actually have a video on my full jewelry collection, which you can check out here, where I talk about all of the pieces that I've accumulated in really great detail, just in case you're curious about your jewelry purchasing or something like that. I've always been really interested in jewelry. I've always had an appreciation for it. I really like the glam and just the prettiness of it. And I feel like it's a really good asset, because it can depreciate depending on what jewelry brand or what piece you buy, but for the most part it holds its value really well, because a lot of jewelry or good quality jewelry is made of gold, and as we can see, gold prices have really skyrocketed. So when you think of jewelry as an asset and you invest in it accordingly, it can be a really good asset. So for me, I've purchased a lot of like Cartier jewelry, I have a Van Cleef, I have a Tiffany, things like that, where the house name is really well known, will really hold its value over time, which is really great. All of that to say, I have $21,000 worth of jewelry that is considered an asset, and I think that's a really good number. It's not something that I'm pressed about growing in this upcoming year, just because I really love the jewelry collection I have now, and I don't really see it expanding unless I got a really nice watch, which is certainly on my wish list, and you know, hopefully it can happen, but I'm not like pressed about it. So yeah, currently I have $21,000 worth of assets in jewelry. Now we can get into investment accounts, and this is where majority of my wealth does lie. Over $300,000 I have in my investment accounts. And so when people talk about investment accounts, I really want to emphasize the importance of the fact that investment accounts grow. And when I say grow, I am referring to compound interest, which means that if I give you this today, in a year, depending on how the market does, of course, I will have 8% more of that I gave you in a year. That is really good. That is basically your money working for you, and you cannot save your way to that, right? Because the reality is some people might give you that just flat out cash, but for your money to work for you means you have to put the money somewhere and it has to do the work. It doesn't mean you get to just hold it and get to that number. You have to give the money out in certain places and have it work for you to, I believe, achieve true wealth. And it would be great if we could all save our way to being a millionaire, but from what I've seen, I don't really think you're able to do that. So that's what I talk about when I say that I think investment accounts are really great. And that's also what people often refer to when they say you cannot save your way to wealth. You have to let your money work for you. They are referring to compound interest. So now let's get into my investment accounts. So the first investment account I have is my health savings investment account, also referred to as an HSA investment account. And you might be familiar with an HSA, which is a health savings account. And that's essentially where your money can go pre-tax. So that means that they take out the money before they tax you and they put it in this account, and it can be used for things like, I don't know, sunscreen and prescriptions and things like that. All of your health related expenses, this is what that account can be used for. And I think it's a really great account because, like I said, this is money that gets taken from you pre-tax, which means that it reduces your overall taxable income. So it's a tax advantaged account, and I think it's really good for that, especially because I really think I'm always going to have a health related expense, whether it is some band-aids, whether I am going on vacation, I need some sunscreen, whether I have allergies and I need to go pick up my allergy prescription. It's literally money that I get to just use and put towards that. And for my specific company that I work for, they also give quite a bit of money towards our HSA, which is free money. So it's like, why would I not have that account? But outside of my regular HSA account, there's also an HSA investment account, which means that in this HSA account, we can take that money and put it into the stock market. It can literally be invested. So in that account, I have managed to get $3.3 thousand, and I think that's a pretty good number, especially because I don't have a ton of related health expenses. So I'm okay with keeping majority of my HSA money in the HSA investment account because the money's just working for me. And also at a certain point, I forget what age, you can Google it or I can put it on the screen somewhere, but you can take out all that money and use it for whatever you want. So it won't have to be towards a health related expense. It can literally be towards a vacation, let's say when you're like 60. I don't know what the age is, but it could be something like that. So I think it's just a good account. I like leveraging accounts that are tax advantaged. You'll notice that pattern as I talk about all of my accounts, but this is definitely one of them that I have contributed to in the more recent years. The next account I want to talk about is my employee stock plan, and this is something that has contributed very much towards my wealth, and it comes a lot from me working in tech. More specifically, I work for one of the FANG companies, and if you don't know what FANG is, you can also Google it. I actually don't fully know what it is either. It's just a few companies, and I think they've done very well. They're known for something. I don't know. All I know is I work for one of them, and that has contributed tremendously towards my overall wealth because of the fact that the company has performed so well, and it has historically done so well, and as far as I know, will continue to do so well. But as you all know, it's always a toss-up. We never know what the market's going to do, and that's just an overall disclaimer for literally everything. Specifically in my employee stock plan, I have $148,000. So that has come from a lot of RSUs. That has come from me contributing 10% of my salary towards our employee stock plan. So I purchase stock at a discount, and it's just also grown quite a bit. So let's be clear, this is not all just $148,000 worth of stock the company's given me. A lot of this is from literally just, once again, investment growth and the company having done so well over time and historically. The next accounts I want to talk about are my individual brokerage accounts, and these accounts are interesting because they're really not tax advantaged at all. Honestly, I think the good thing about them is that you can liquidate them if you need them, and you don't have to face the biggest penalty. You'll simply just have to pay capital gains taxes on them depending on how long you've had them. So whereas a 401k, you can't touch that money until a certain age, and if you do, you get a penalty. With the individual brokerage account, you could touch it tomorrow depending on how long you've held the stock, and then just pay that amount of taxes accordingly. So that's the nuance with this account, and so I haven't contributed that much because, once again, I always will maximize my tax advantage accounts before I contribute to an account that doesn't have any tax advantages. I also have 2 individual brokerage accounts. I talked about this in my first video about my net worth. One of those reasons is because I had made one when I was really young, and honestly, I did not know a lot about it, and so I was just investing in really specific accounts. And if you know stocks, the best method that a lot of people will tell you is to invest in ETFs or to invest in the S&P 500. And the reason for that is because they hold so many stocks. So if one goes up and the other goes down, you're really neutral. But let's say you just invested all in one. When one goes down, your entire account is going down. There's nothing to balance it out. So So that's oftentimes why people will tell you to go for ETFs, the S&P 500, or these accounts that work as a basket where they hold different stocks as the eggs in the basket. So in my first individual brokerage account, where I did a really poor job of choosing the proper stocks and not doing the ETFs, I have $1,100 in that, and I no longer contribute to that account because, once again, I just feel like there's really no reason to. Also because it's kind of under a different brokerage firm that I don't really use as often. But yeah, I have $1,100 in that. And then the other brokerage account that I have $32,000 in. And that one I actively do invest in. I primarily actively invested in it last year, and I think the year before. This current year, I didn't really work to invest in it as much because I really wanted to focus on other areas of growing my wealth. But it is, once again, an account that is helpful overall and has grown tremendously, and I'm really proud of it. The next account we're going to talk about is a Roth IRA, and I love a Roth IRA. I say this all the time. I think it's a really great investment account. It is also a retirement account, but it is tax advantage, which is really great. So I personally will always try to contribute the max, and there's always like income restraints or a certain amount that you can contribute to each year. I think for 2025 it's $7,000. I don't know what it's going to be for 2026, but I strive to make sure that I contribute the max because of the fact that it is tax advantage, but it's also tax advantage post income tax. So the money that you get post tax is what you would contribute to your Roth IRA. The money that I have in my Roth IRA currently is $38,000. So I currently am at like $4,000 out of $7,000 for the year 2025. So once I max out that $7,000, it should grow a bit more. Once again, these are investments, so they will naturally grow just due to the market and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, I have about $38,000 in there, and I am really proud of that. Now let's get into a 401k. I'm sure you've heard of a 401k for many different reasons, whether it's the employer match, whether it's the tax advantage part, whether it's the fact that it's a retirement account. But personally for me, going into 2025, I definitely upped my contributions to my 401k for different reasons. One of those reasons was the fact that I wanted to reduce my taxable income, and I really wanted to increase my overall 401k account. And I realized that you could open up an account within your 401k and pick out your own stocks. I always thought that for a 401k you could only participate in like a plan where they choose the stocks and you don't have a full idea of like what everything is, whereas on a, let's say, individual brokerage account, like you go in and you get to pick exactly what you want to invest in. I realized that you could open up an account under your 401k for that, and I have Fidelity for my 401k, so it's called Brokerage Link. If you're not familiar with that, it'll allow you to pick out your own accounts or stocks that you want to invest in under your 401k. So for my 401k, I have $74.4 thousand in that account, and then for my 401k Brokerage Link, which is like the investments that I get to pick, I have about $7.3 thousand. Now let's go ahead and get into debt. Obviously, debt is a very important portion of your net worth because it is your assets and your investments and all this stuff minus your debt. So let's talk about debt. So for my debt, one of the biggest differences between this update versus the first video I did is the fact that I no longer have any student loans. I think before I said that I had like a 1.4 or 1.7K student loan. I paid that off this year. I have no student loan debt. I have no car loan debt, as you know, because my car is fully paid off. I have no credit card debt outside of the monthly amounts that I gain and then pay off in full every month. I do not play about that credit card statement. It is zero, okay? Because I never want to carry any credit card debt. I know how easily it can snowball, and it's something that I really strive to keep as low as possible. So yeah, I actually don't have any debt, which is really, really good and really allows me to just hold this overall big net worth number. And yeah, you guys, when you add it all up, I have over a $350,000 net worth. I actually don't know the full amount. I just know what's on my little Empower dashboard, but that doesn't include like my jewelry and my car assets. But it's kind of crazy. Like if you have looked at the video before, you'll see where I'm coming from. I think before I was at like 250,000 or close to it, and now I am over $350,000, which means my net worth has literally increased over $100,000 in 1 year. That's crazy. like, oh my gosh, at 24 years old, I just feel so proud and blessed and thankful to have hit this major, milestone for me. And I think it does. I don't know if you guys have heard this saying where people are like, those first numbers, like that first 100K, that first 10K, hell, the first 5K, it's hard to do. And I think people don't always give it the full, like, I don't want to say attention, or maybe gratitude is the word, I can't find it, but I think people really should focus on like those small wins, because let me tell you something, those small wins are those wins that snowball. That is the reality. The 100K becomes a 200K a lot easier once you hit the 5K or the 10K or the 50K. You know what I mean? So I understand when we look at these big numbers, they can seem so intimidating, and it's like, how the heck? Compound interest is how the heck. But for two, you have to start with those small wins. You have to get to the 10K. You have to get to the 50K. You got to get to the 100K. And I'm telling you, it'll snowball. I definitely am not as far as I want to be in terms of the fact that I definitely want to be a multimillionaire. But I am 24 years old with a net worth of over $350,000. So I think I'm doing a pretty damn good job at what I've done thus far. So yeah, you guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any tips or advice, please leave them. I am no financial expert. I don't strive to be that. I just want to share what I have done, what works for me, what I'm thinking, in hopes that it helps somebody else. And I'm sure there's so many more people that can help me. So if you guys know anything, please leave it below. If you have any questions, please leave it below. I want this to be a community. I want to be transparent. I think transparency is what breeds innovation. I think it's what breeds success for everybody. And I once again believe everybody can win. There is so much money in this motherfucking economy. You can have it, okay? And don't let anybody tell you that you can't. You can have it. You just print more money. Let's be real. I'm kidding. It doesn't always work. That's not specifically how it goes. I know this. But what I'm saying is there's so much money that can go around for everybody. So please don't think it can't be you. And yeah, you guys, this is me reporting in at the end of 2025 at the age of 24. I will check in with you guys probably, I want to say, in like 6 months, maybe a year, who knows, but I'm really excited to see what my next update will be once I hit the age of 25. So yeah, you guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.